Bitcoin, quickly transferring money, especially to people you don't know or whatever.
Blockchain is a new network, and it's going to help us decentralize
A
trade.
number-rated database. That's what it is.
Enormous crisis.
Maybe I'm wrong.
And the first
Blockchain is a
task
new
was making
network,
sure
and it's going to help
That's
us.
what it's gonna be.
Du lytter til Kryptopia, en podcast om kryptovaluta.
Surprise! Velkommen til nytårsspecial her på Kryptopia. Mit navn det er Michael Nielsen Søberg, og jeg er vært her på podcasten. Og hvad vil du hellere lave, end at sidde og høre på min stemme, mens du er tømmermand her 1. januar? Ja, jeg ved det heller ikke. Vi har jo egentlig lavet sæsonafslutning her i Kryptopia, og den gik rigtig godt. Jeg har fået rigtig meget kærlighed. Jeg sendte min vej i hvert fald efter, og jeg udgav sæsonafslutningen. Jeg er virkelig beæret og glad for, at der er så mange, der nyder podcasten, og er rigtig, rigtig glad for det, vi laver her i podcasten. Og som vi offentliggjorde i sæsonafslutningen, så kommer der jo også en sæson 2. Den begynder vi faktisk at optage her allerede i januar. Så der går forhåbentlig ikke særlig lang tid, før du vil høre fra os igen. Men hvorfor laver jeg så en nytårsspecial, og hvad skal det handle om? Ja, nu skal du høre. I sidste øjeblik, her i december, der fik jeg lukket en aftale med en ledende global ekspert inden for blockchain og kryptovaluta. Hun hedder Dr. Merav Ozair og er ufattelig dygtig. Helt sindssygt dygtig. Altså, og jeg så hende første gang i et interview, hvor DR havde lavet en explainer omkring NFT'er. Synes jeg var ret godt lavet, og der interviewede de hende nemlig. Så vi er lige at trække de rigtige tråde og en ordentlig kommunikation på LinkedIn, så lykkedes det faktisk at lukke et interview med hende. Men det kunne først blive den 21. december, og der havde vi jo mere eller mindre lige afsluttet sæsonen. Så værsgo, her er der lige en nytårsspecial til dig, der ligger med tømmermand og gerne vil høre lidt om krypto. Jeg kan i hvert fald fortælle, at hun er sindssygt skarp og meget, meget dygtig i sit fag. Det er klart, ellers var hun jo ikke eksperten. Men uddannet Ph.D. over i USA og arbejder simpelthen til dagligt som underviser på et af de ledende colleges inden for blockchain og krypto i Amerika. Hun bor i New York, og derfor så var klokken også 10 her om aftenen, da jeg tror den var nok 10, da vi optog over Zoom. Og jeg må sige, hvis du også er til det lidt mere nørdet inden for krypto, de filosofiske spørgsmål, hvordan kommer vi til at bruge det, hvordan ser fremtiden ud, osv., så hør efter nu. For det er altså et ret fedt interview, jeg fik lavet, synes jeg. Når det er sagt, så strider interviewet jo en lille bit smule imod podcastens vision. Visionen er jo at tale om kryptovaluta på dansk og forståeligt sprog. Og hvad skal man sige? Det er jo i hvert fald ikke dansk, vi snakker. Vi taler engelsk. Og jeg bliver også i den forbindelse nødt til lige at understrege, at jeg var nervøs. Jeg snakker ufattelig meget danglish i forvejen. Så hvis du synes, at jeg lyder som en kæmpe noob, så er du ikke alene. Det synes jeg absolut også selv, der har genhørt det her. Men sådan er det, og du skal ikke snydes, fordi det er jo ikke mig, det handler om. Det er jo heldigvis min gæst. Så sådan er det jo. Men så synes jeg faktisk bare, at vi skal springe ud i det. Fordi, hvor fanden skulle vi vente? Her kommer det. Velkommen til interview med Dr. Ozair.
Du lytter til Kryptopia, en podcast om kryptovaluta.
And now I got the explicit pleasure of inviting Dr. Ozair into an interview here in Kryptopia. Hello, Dr. Ozair, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, and Happy New Year, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about crypto and blockchains with a small podcast like mine. It is truly an honor to be here online and see you. As the viewers on YouTube probably can see, there is a bit of time difference between us. It is, around 5 p.m. Where you sit, and it's around 11 p.m. where I sit, so I made a bit cozy. with some candlelights, and it's great. And we've been chatting a bit on LinkedIn, and I was super excited that you wanted to do this interview with me. I really think you're a pioneer into this, and a PhD and doctor degree in blockchain and cryptocurrencies. That is crazy. How do you get the idea of educating yourself so much into blockchain and cryptocurrencies?
Well, my background is a little bit untraditional. I started, as a teenager, I went to a STEM school, meaning, that is based on a lot of math and technology and physics. So my background started with computer science, engineering, physics, automation, and all of that. Then I went to college and got introduced to economics, and I got very excited about economics and how the economy works and all of these questions, and being a curious mind, I was always thinking, how can I fit my technological skill and my tech skills into, economic, problems and solutions.
Yeah.
And because, I always cared about society. I mean, what is economics? Economics is basically social science. That's what people always forget. Economics is social science, and it's not like a hard science, like what we call like physics, because there's a lot, it deals with everything that happens in the economy, and people are involved. So it's part of that, and it's always been intriguing to me. And so my first instinct was, to go and get a PhD in finance in quant. So that was, made sense to me, that to apply my quantitative skills into, trying to understand the market and financial markets, and especially was very focusing on market microstructure, how the market behaves, etc. But then I stumbled, as I was doing research on Forex, which is foreign currency, I stumbled on crypto because it's traded in pairs globally, 24/7. So a lot of brokers, it was about, like 7 years ago. Back then, today it's a little bit more organized, but back then it was like, everyone was, trading everything, and brokers who did, foreign currency did also. Crypto, it wasn't really too much of organized type of trading. So as I stumbled on that, and I did a lot of research and understanding on how the foreign currency works, it just, it's like, I always like to say that, crypto looked to me like, it looks like a cow, but doesn't behave like a cow. It has all the features of Forex, but the behavior of how it behaves, in terms of, let's say, the fundamentals that I see in foreign currency, which react to macroeconomic events, right? Whether there's, how central banks, increase interest or doesn't increase interest, what's happening with inflation and the GDP and all of that. So because by nature, if you think about it, any currency is tied to its economy, right? Whether it's the US dollar, it's tied to the US economy, whether it's yours tied to the EU region. And the EU region is pretty complex, by the way.
Yeah.
So you see that connection, and I was trying, but whatever I, when I look at crypto, it doesn't really behave the same. So I was like, what's going on?
What was it about crypto? Why did it behave different than you expected?
That's what I wanted to understand. I mean, it didn't, react to any change in interest, it didn't react to any change in inflation, it didn't react to any announcement from the central bank. It didn't react to any of that. It was just, as if doing its own.
Okay.
And I wanted to understand why. And I realized that there is a technology behind it. It's not tied to any economy. It's not tied to any fiscal policy or monetary policy or any central bank or anything. It's tied to some technology. And that got me so excited. It was like, it's as if, my bulb, lit up in my head. Oh, wow, technology, back to my roots.
Yes.
And I got so excited and I wanted to understand better what is this technology. So I understood, there's blockchain. So what is blockchain? And then I really, it's kind of like when you get into this space, and I hear that from a lot of people who are like me, like very passionate about this ecosystem, you get sucked in. It's like, it's so intriguing because it's evolving like by the second. Every day there's new protocol and new project and new developers who are trying to solve, the new problems and coming up with solutions. And it's just evolving so fast. And that's what's so intriguing about it. So I had to really understand what is the consensus mechanism and how it works and why it works this way and that way, and how can we make it better, and how can we, and there's a scaling issue, and there's a mainstream issue, and there's the security issue, and people are not talking about environment, which is a little bit out of proportion, but if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. If not, we can leave it to a different time.
I would love to talk about that, but it's one of the last questions I got.
Exactly.
So I'll get back to that.
But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things, people are talking about when it relates to this space. And I want to understand everything. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there and a lot of, misinformation even. This is why I always say to people, they read stuff and say to me, oh, but, Bitcoin is this and that, or crypto is this and that, or blockchain is gonna, kill the environment. It's not so true for many reasons. I mean, as I said, it's a bit out of proportion and we can put things in perspective. But I do believe, and the reason why I got so excited, because I realized I was very fascinated by Satoshi Nakamoto, which we don't know who that something is. No one knows. No. But the premise that he brought forward was so in tune with my nature and my personality as someone who cares about people and cares about society and really want to make a change. And I think that the concept that he brought forward, which is creating a system, in that case, that was a financial payment system that is what they say, run by the people for the people. So there's no central banks, there's no intermediaries, no financial institutions. It's we, the people, control our life. And his use case was just talking about payments, but then, now it's evolving to much more than that. Yeah. And that concept of how we can really control our lives and we can really make a change in society, because I do believe that blockchain technology has the potential to democratize society globally and connect people globally. And that's the reason why I'm in it, because I always wanted to find a way how to make it happen. Because people always talk about change, they always talk about let's make a change, let's do this, let's do that, but nothing is really happening. But I think the blockchain technology has so much power if we do it right to make the change. And I'm always very happy to talk to as many people as possible and educate as many people as possible about the possibilities of blockchain, and also explain the misconceptions, diffuse them, in fact. Explain things in a way that people will understand what's the benefit of blockchain and think about how it can benefit society on a local level and a global level. And this is our time to make a change.
Yeah. We, in the podcast, when we had about what is blockchain, I think it was Peter who said blockchain is basically automated revision, it's so crazy, but it's so great. And my next question would actually be about blockchain. So I think that is obvious to jump to next question at the moment. And I was thinking about you're talking about if we do things right about blockchains, the implementing of blockchains around the world. If we do this right, how could things go if we do this wrong, and how could things go wrong? Can we start with that? And then I would like to, of course, ask about what's going to happen if we implement blockchain in the good way.
Yeah, well, there are always going to be bad actors. Right? I mean, because, you know, the first thing that you see, like the headlines, oh, there's a scam, there's hack, there's, you know, because that's, you know, the headlines. People like those headlines. And there's a misconception about, oh, blockchain is all about scammers. It's all about hackers. It's all about, you know, it's criminals. You know, that's, you know, what people are hearing because that's what the media like to, you know, put on the news because it's sensational.
Yeah,
right.
We're entertainment, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So that's a lot of misconceptions. So yes, they're always going to be criminals. We can't run away from it.
But there's also criminals using the US dollars to make scams.
Exactly.
And
exactly. That's what I'm saying. The human nature of doing bad and bad actions has been since we have been humans. I don't know, thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. I mean, there's always going to be, even before there was, you know, think about, you know, the tulip, right? Which was like, what was it, like hundreds of years ago? That was a scam. It has nothing to do.
No. But how do you see if we do blockchain right? How could you imagine the world in about, let's say, 10 years?
Okay, so we can do it right. And the reason why we can do it right is because one thing that people have to understand is blockchain is a software, it's a code. So if we code it right, and this is one of the issues that I'm working on within NATO, which is International Association for Trusted Blockchain Application, which is, it's a long name.
Yeah.
they are based in Brussels, they're basically European. And now we're working with the EU Commission, you know, to create a sandbox, you know, to understand, you know, how that works and how to make sure that it works correctly, right? And with the right compliance and with the right code. So it's all in the code. So, but the code must be audited, right? The code has to be monitored.
Yeah.
The code must be has the features of incentivizing good behavior and penalizing bad actors.
Okay.
And doing it in the right way. And that's what I mean, that doing it in the right way. So scammers, you know, will be detected by instantly. That's what happened with the scammer, like, for example, with OpenSea, that he was detected like within an hour. And, you know, and I was kind of amused because how dare you do something on the blockchain, which is all transparent, I mean, very transparent, very trackable. What did you think? That you will not be detected? So that's a good thing about, you know, blockchain. So even if they are bad actors, they can be tracked and they can be halted and they can be penalized immediately. So that's a good thing. And of course, we have to write the code with, you know, the ecosystem, and that's what we're trying to build today, is like this community that cares and gonna self-audit itself and, you know, making sure that it is audited before it is launched, etc. So that's a good part of it. If we do it right, as I'm saying, I think the potential is abundant and boundless, because it can definitely has a potential to change our life in a big way. It definitely has the opportunity to democratize society, and I mentioned that, be in a way that, you know, it will allow, you know, that like all these, you know, underserved communities, you know, will be able to have access to whether it's financial services or health services, education. Think about education, you know, and now more than that, this is the big thing that I'm now very excited about, is the metaverse. But the metaverse will not exist without blockchain. We need blockchain in order for the metaverse to scale. I call blockchain technology as the enabler of metaverse.
And why do you need blockchain to make the metaverse happen? I mean, couldn't a regular database not make the metaverse happen?
Well, first of all, I don't want it to be centralized.
No, true.
So we don't want that to be centralized. It has to be decentralized in a way. If we really want to have control, because if you think about it, if your avatar, your virtual identity is going to be engaging in this world, whether through education, through events, social events, maybe medical events, even, medicine, you can do a therapy, in a group. So you want to protect yourself, and don't want this information to fall in the wrong hands of a centralized company.
I get it. Yeah.
So it has to be decentralized. Now, if it is decentralized, so we need blockchain. And we need to, and this is one of the things that I'm working today, is how I call it secured digital identity. How can we secure our digital identity when, in general, and of course, especially in the metaverse?
Yeah.
And this is very crucial. So blockchain technology is going to be very important for the security of our identity. It will be very important for the authentication of any transaction that we do. This is why NFTs are so, big when it comes to the metaverse, because let's say you have a virtual parcel. How do you authenticate that? NFT. You have a virtual person. How do you authenticate that? NFT. You have a virtual bag or even a space. How do you authenticate that? NFT. So from the authentication part. And NFT is not just the authentication, it's also creating communities. This is the way you can reward people, right? Yeah. And make them part of this community and want to, engage, and the collectible aspect of it, and how they can trade, and because it's all about, we're going to live in this parallel, in the side, the movie or the book, that, coined, metaverse in the 90s. Yeah. Basically, it was talking about a universe, a virtual universe that is interacting with the physical universe. Yeah. And the only way to do that is through blockchain technology. That's, our key, our enabler, how to connect the physical with the virtual. Yeah. Because if you want the transaction to happen, let's say we have a wallet, which is in the physical world, but this wallet will be connected to the virtual world. So every transaction that you do on the virtual world will be real, and not just a game. Because now you have all kinds of virtual games, but it's just a game. Yeah. But if you want it to really be real, it has to be connected to a real wallet.
I'm smiling a lot right now because in Denmark there is this common. I need to explain this correctly, but in Denmark there is this general feel that because the Danes cannot, feel and touch and pay with the cryptocurrencies at the moment, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. And every time I've been writing a comment in a Danish finance newspaper or anything about, well, Denmark isn't the right place to start about adopting cryptocurrencies. It makes perfect sense that we adopt cryptocurrencies and blockchain through gaming and ADA in Africa and places where it actually makes sense to start the implementation. So I 100% agree, and I thought you explained that perfectly for a newbie as me to the crypto world.
But I think that eventually we're all going to be engaging in the metaverse. So how can you engage in the metaverse without the crypto wallet? Yeah. That's the only way to engage and really create that, that science fiction from the 90s will become a reality. That's the only, in what we call decentralized finance, all these applications, let's say you can take a mortgage on your virtual real estate How are you gonna mortgage that?
Yeah.
And all these connections can only happen with decentralized finance, with this wallet. And so if we're really thinking about the metaverse, which definitely gonna happen and definitely will be part of our life, whether you are in Denmark or in Africa. I don't believe that it's only for Africa, it's for everyone.
Yes, I believe that as well.
And the only way to make it happen, to enable that, to scale that, is through blockchain technology.
Yeah.
That's the enabling.
So in the beginning, we talked about the environmental issues there is around all of the crypto newspapers at the moment, and it's a hot topic at the moment to talk about how much power a Bitcoin transaction is using and stuff. I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago saying that one Bitcoin transaction should issue the same amount of above 700,000 Visa transactions. Well, if we look objectively on this example, we must acknowledge that there is a problem here, and how do we solve this problem? Because we do not have completely green energy around the world to say, oh well, it doesn't matter because in Denmark most of our energy is from windmills, right? But go to Germany or go to England, it's definitely not the kind of energy they use there. So how do we react to the environmental issue at the moment?
Okay, so first of all, it's a big question, and I'll try to split it into, to put the misconceptions into the right place, diffuse the misconceptions. So a lot of people are, saying Bitcoin. First of all, Bitcoin is not going to be, I don't think that Bitcoin is the payment that we're going to use.
Why not?
For our metaverse or for our NFTs. It's not on Bitcoin. That's, so every time when people are talking about Bitcoin, it's irrelevant to the NFTs and centralized finance and the metaverse. It's really irrelevant. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So we have to, put things in perspective.
Yeah.
So that, analogy, about Bitcoin and equating to what's happening in the metaverse and NFTs and all that is wrong. That's first. Second, even with Bitcoin, I do know I have a friend who's an expert on mining and everything and renewable energies, and he's basically came up with, he does a lot of research and he works with all kinds of facilities that are renewable energies, and he can see how we can utilize this renewable energies to mine Bitcoin. It will be even beneficial for our environment to use them. So that's another issue here. Second of all, everything is now moving to what we call proof of stake, which is now Bitcoin is proof of work. Even Ethereum, where most of the applications are built on Ethereum, is now in the transition. Of course, it's not as easy because remember, it's a software. And every time when you try to move, change, one version to a different version, and this is like a big change, a huge change. It's not easy. So we have to be very careful, but they are also moving to proof of stake. And there are already a lot of others like the Avalanche and the Algorand, Solana, and all of those, were also building applications that, the NFTs and the decentralized finance and the one that will be used in the metaverse are already proof of stake. And proof of stake, there has been, in fact, a report from, I think, London University that shows the differences, in terms of, how the effect on the environment. So it's not as critical as people may think. The world is not going to come to an end. Proof of work, yes. Does consume energy? Well, even what we are doing right now consume energy, but it doesn't consume energy as much as, the Bitcoin of what people saying. It's on a much, much lower level. So, whatever we do in the internet, as long as we use the internet, people are not going to stop using the internet, right? Take it away from them and they feel like, you cut, their their life support, right?
Yeah.
So, internet.
Goddamn millennials.
Exactly. Even internet by itself consume energy. So since it's what is blockchain technology? It's Web 3.0, which is still energy, but it's not more than the energy that we are consuming right now. And I'm sure that's another hope that I have. I do believe, because I'm very engaged with the ecosystem and very engaged with what developers are doing, and developers and people in this ecosystem are very conscious about all the implications of energy and everything. And they are very conscious of how we can create solutions who are more effective, more environmental conscious, how we can preserve the economy, how can we make it efficient, how we can make it scalable. So it takes time. I want people to be a little bit patient, and nothing happens in a day. So
in the second episode of this podcast, Peter also said that some of the greatest minds in math and coding is working on these problems right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So everyone is working on that, and I always like to talk to more and more people, because I believe that the more people are thinking about the problem, the closer we get to the solution.
Mm.
And this is a global ecosystem. People from all over the world. Look, I'm in the US, you're in Denmark, I'm talking to people from Singapore, from Germany, from Dubai. I'm talking to people from all over the world, and we're all thinking about the same problems, and we're all trying to get solutions.
Yeah.
So the solutions will come. We just have to be patient. And
so
I believe that
is the the main advice from Dr. Ozair.
Sorry, patience. Yeah.
Huddle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because even the internet, think about the internet. The internet 20 years ago and the internet that we have today, you can't even compare, right? It takes time, until it evolves to what. And in fact, the blockchain technology is evolving even faster than the internet.
Yeah.
Every day I hear about a new solution and a new product and a new way to create things better and more efficient and more scalable and less energy, and how we can utilize things. So people are always thinking of how to make things better. Yeah. It's not like, okay, we have something and we are oblivious to all the pitfalls, but we know that it has to be better, and we're working on that. And I believe that at one point, whatever applications that you have, every service, every product will, what I call, run the rails, will be blockchain technology. Yeah. And it will be in a way that will be so seamless. Like, every app that you use on your phone, you just, tap and this is how we're going to engage with all these services that will run on blockchain technology. People will not even ask what is blockchain, because it's like they don't ask what is internet, right? They just use it. We're going to get to that point that it will be seamless. It will be part of our life and part of our metaverse, and our lives will completely emerge in the physical and the virtual world through blockchain, which will be seamless and connect us in a much bigger way.
So basically, it will kind of match the way of globalization we have actually adapted from now on. We are completely connected through Facebook and internet, but now we need the economy to evolve as well. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that, again, blockchain technology will be the enabler. And not only that, now we're doing this in 2D. 10 years from now, and I'm not kidding, 10 years from now, at least, I believe 10 years, maybe even less, we're going to do this in 3D.
Yeah.
we're going to be in a metaverse, virtual, kind of place, and we can, as if sitting next to each other, and connecting, and even bringing the audience to sit with us in that virtual space, and maybe there will be some community that you will be rewarded by NFTs and the DeFi, and it will be. The concept of education completely will transform. The concept of community will transform, because what is community? It's not the local community. It's not just your neighbor. Community will be anyone who is like-minded and wants to be part of this event, wants to be part of this space, wants to engage, wants to exchange knowledge, exchange ideas, thoughts, and take it to the next level, and bring and make our life better, make our society better. So it completely going to, I think we're going to go through not just a transition, but a morphosition, kind of everything will morph to something completely different.
I 100 understand what you mean, and I share the same vision, definitely. And I will already now invite you to sit next to me in 3D as soon as that becomes a possibility, and then we should definitely have a new interview by that time. But you and I, Dr. Ozair, we could probably sit here for a couple of hours and discuss blockchain and worldwide crypto implementation. But unfortunately, we have to come to an end. I just have one quick question for you that might be a little personal, but I hope it's okay. Is it correctly assumed that you are from the States?
Yes, I live in New York City. Yep.
Great. A couple of weeks ago, I actually turned on Fox News by accident. I know it's a big no-no to some people, but I did. I find it funny sometimes,
Yeah.
And they were actually discussing the inflation rates in on the dollar and the fiat inflation rates. And on the sub header, it was saying, "Will Bitcoin save the world?" And I was so shocked by seeing that subheader on Fox News. Do you think that people are getting more open-minded in the States towards crypto as the inflation rates rise?
Some people, there is a section of people in the US that think about Bitcoin as gold, like a hedge for inflation. Because it's not tied to the currency, right? You already mentioned that. It's not tied to the currency. It's not tied to the economy. It doesn't tie to the central bank, raising, inflation and interest rates and all of that. So they see that as a Bitcoin as an inflation hedge. And if you believe in that, then yes, maybe a lot of people will start investing more in Bitcoin if they believe that this is the right way to hedge inflation. And inflation is really is increasing, and we know why globally, because of COVID, because for everything that happens. Inflation is here. And it's probably going to increase more, because you can see things are not getting better for our economy. So if you're looking for a hedge, and that could be a good hedge. Yeah, because it's really not tied, and because the technology itself is here to stay. Yeah, and technology is going to do all the beautiful things that I was just saying about our beautiful future, that is going to completely, change and morph the way that we learn. That it will be a learning experience for all of us. That we connect, that we create communities, that we be in a space, communicate with people in terms of our financial life, our physical life, our engagement, our education, our professions, everything's going to change for the better. Yeah. And I can see that so vividly, and I'm so passionate and so excited about what the future is ahead of us. And yeah, so if the technology is key, then, and you believe in Bitcoin and in these technologies, then I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ozair. It has been a truly pleasure to have you on my podcast. I definitely hope you will do this with me again when I'm much wiser and have other great topics towards blockchain and crypto that I need to discuss with a true expert.
I would love to come again. It doesn't have to be in 10 years in 3Ds. It could be sooner than that. It could be in a few months even. We can just, continue the conversation and, be in 2Ds until, whoops, we are 3.
Thank you so much. And this will air on the 1st of January, but I know you have a website. What's it called? It's being made as we speak. And you will try to create communities and stuff on your website. So we will definitely post a link when it's ready in the show notes where people can go visit your website and look at the communities.
And be part of the global community that will take this technology to the next level and really create the beautiful things that we want all the time, we talk about all the time, but we can really create them for real.
Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Dr. Ozair.
Likewise.
Thank you
so much for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ja, som I sikkert kan høre, så var jeg helt oppe at køre. Og det er sådan set stadigvæk. Jeg synes, det er fuldstændig fantastisk. Hun gad at bruge tid på at tale krypto blockchain sammen med mig i Kryptopia her. Så en stor tak til Dr. Ozair for at medvirke her. Og vi har jo aftalt, at vi skal mødes i 3D på et eller andet tidspunkt. Så hvornår det bliver jo selvfølgelig et godt spørgsmål, men man må ikke, hun kigger forbi podcasten før det. Derudover så skal der selvfølgelig lyde en stor tak til alle mine normale medværter, Jimmy, Peter og Frida, for at have udarbejdet sæson 1 af Kryptopia sammen med mig. Det er jeg rigtig, rigtig glad for, at de vil, fordi de får heller ikke en krone for det her. Så det er altså en 100% uafhængig podcast, og det bliver det også ved med at være. Derudover så vil jeg gerne slå et slag for vores gode ven Simon Nielsen fra Better Trades. Simon han har valgt at hjælpe min fundraiser, som jeg kører privat ved siden af podcasten her, med at udlove en dagsession, hvor du kan sidde og lære en hel masse om TA sammen med Simon, fuldstændig kvitterfrit. Det har normalt en værdi af 3.000 kroner, og alt du skal gøre, det er at donere minimum 50 kroner til min fundraiser, og du finder et link til fundraiseren nede i show notes. Så kunne du tænke dig at vinde en dagsession sammen med Simon Nielsen, så er det altså ind og donere, så trækker vi lod, enten når beløbet det er nået, eller senest slut februar. Ellers så er der ikke så meget andet tilbage end at sige tusind tak, fordi I lytter med. Det er jo sådan set det, der gør, at vi kan og har lyst til at blive ved med at lave podcasten her. Så tak for opbakningen. Jeg håber, I kommer til at tage imod sæson 2 lige så godt som sæson 1, fordi det kan jeg godt garantere. Det bliver rigtig, rigtig fedt. Tak for nu. Tak fordi du lyttede med. Gode tømmermand. Vi ses på månen.
Du lytter til Kryptopia, en podcast om kryptovaluta.